Welcome, everyone. Bill Newell here, along with Phil Stacy, Matt Williams, and Nick Giannino, all of the Salem News. Nick Kukuru may possibly join us, but he is on assignment. We are recording this on Monday evening for Tuesday morning. And so, Nick Giannino, we've missed you here for the last couple of weeks here, but
I know. Miss
yeah,
you guys.
somewhat familiar face
He's
there.
been on his wedding tour has been longer than some Grateful Dead tours.
Quite a few. Quite a
We're
few.
doing 12 weddings this year or something.
Something like that. 10, 11. But we're done now. So
You're at
on to
that
next
age.
year, I
He's
guess.
at that age. Yeah.
Well, the first one was probably the best one, I'm guessing.
Back in April, this guy right here.
That's
Kicking
right.
it off.
That's
Well,
right.
wait, I can't point here. It's
Down to
all
my
backwards. Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
spot. Yeah.
He's down here.
It's like one of those Brady Bunch things where you have to be like,
The Mac guy. It's like a reverse thing for us here. All right,
It's
so
like different on everyone's show, right? So
there's no football really to talk about this week. Oh, well, there is, but we'll get to that in just a moment. But let's go to golf here, Nick Giannino, because it is breaking this week. Golf,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. We're coming down the final stretch here. So I guess we'll lead off with the Northeastern Conference Open, which they were able to get in despite the miserable weather today over at Salem Country Club. They played 17 holes, then it poured. They came off for about 15 minutes, went back out and played the last hole. So at the end of the day, it was Masco that took home the title. A little bit of a surprising outcome there with Beverly having the undefeated season. And
coaching. It's the coaching.
Yeah. Hector, you know how good of a job he does over there. But so two guys per team compete in the NEC Open, and Tyler Feldberg and Jack Mertz got it done for Masco, 81 and an 82. A little bit of higher scores today, with the weather, and none of these kids have really played Salem Country Club. It's a pretty daunting course. It's long. The greens are really fast. And again, obviously the conditions were tough today. So 81-82 held up as the low score. And those two Masco kids will be taking the trophy back to Boxford. Second place was Beverly. Ian Paddock and Jack Ryan played for the Panthers today. Aiden LeBlanc sat this one out. I think head coach Craig Wiley wanted to give him a day off. He's coming off the Division II North Sectional individual title. He shot a 68 last week to win the divisional title. And the Panthers will be going as a team to the Division II state championship tomorrow, Tuesday, when you guys are listening to this, out in Bellingham, I believe it is. So, we'll move right on to that. We got, like I said, the state championship matches coming up. We got all three divisions are tomorrow. Division I is going to be over at Renaissance in Haverhill. And we got three St. John's Prep kids playing in that one. They didn't make it as a team. Great regular season for them. They played pretty well in the sectionals. Usually the score that they had would hold up, but some really good competition this year, and they finished just outside the top three in fourth place. So won't be defending their Division I team title this year, but they'll have three individuals there. Trip Hollister, Eli Tripodis, and who am I missing? Terry Manning. So Eagles will have three guys, and then Division II, we got Beverly going as a team. They won the sectional title last week. They had the medalist in Aiden LeBlanc, like I said before. So they're going to go look to kind of complete a perfect season here, really. Obviously,
It'd be remarkable, wouldn't it, if they were to do that?
I mean, they just dominated for the third straight year. They've gone undefeated in the NEC, which I believe hadn't happened since the early 90s, according to their coach, Craig Wiley. So pretty impressive stuff there. Obviously, they couldn't get it done at the Northeastern Conference Open today, but they'll have a great chance, I think, to take home the Division II title. They got some really good players. They're deep. They send six golfers, I believe, to the state matches and take the top four scores. So really good shot at that one. And Masco, again, the winners today, they're going to be also competing as a team in Division II. They stuck through with a third place finish, I believe, at sectionals. So they'll be competing as well. And then in Division II, we have Marblehead's Matt Weed is going to be competing. I believe it's Matt Weed, right? Geez, I just wrote about this today. I want to make sure I'm right. But he didn't compete in the NEC Open today. It was two different guys for Marblehead, but yeah, I believe it's Matt Weed. He's going to be going as an individual represent Marblehead, and then in Division III, Essex Tech player made it for the first time in program history. He's going to be competing as an individual representing the Hawks. That's Jacob Deinstad, I believe is his name. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that last name wrong, but really good year for him. Just speaking with the coach, much improved player, and went out and shot a smooth 80 in the Division III sectional and was able to advance to the state championship. So some guys to keep an eye on tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully the weather cooperates and we can get some good results for the North Shoreans.
Forgot to mention that Jack Mertz is also a hockey player, which I'm sure the
Okay.
links, you know.
Yeah, Hector was raving about him. I guess he had a kind of a sluggish start to the season and picked it up, and that's really what turned the Masco team around. They started 1-3 and finished strong, got into the sectional tournament. Now they're going to be playing in state. So his play has really been great, and same with Tyler Feldberg, who also played well today.
Like I told you, man, it's all coaching.
Yeah. Well, we don't know if Hector's going to be back there next year, so we'll see what happens.
All right, Nick, good stuff. Here we go. This is how Gary Larrabee started, Nick. Just like this. Just
Yeah.
like this. It was very
Nice.
similar, if I'm not mistaken.
Is this it for the golf or they have all states?
Well, they
No,
have
this is it.
New England's.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but they can decide if they want to compete. Like I know St. John's Prep won it all last year and then didn't go to New England. So just
Yeah,
depends
New
on
England's is
that.
sometimes fit, but they don't have all states like the track does. They just go,
No, it's
this
just
is
the
it.
state
Yeah.
state championship and then New England.
Probably won't
Which-
want to be playing too much golf in the month of November anyway. So
No.
No, and a lot of these kids play winter sports, so it's tough to get them there because there's a decent gap I think between the state match and the New England's.
well, golf is the first sport that's over, and
Right.
then everybody else
True.
is still going, but you don't want to be on those frosty greens, I guess.
Yeah.
No,
Go
no, not at
classic.
all. Good stuff. Okay, so there's golf. Check. We've done that. Let's go to football. Where do we begin? I don't know. Matt, should we start with our game that we were at on Friday night?
Oh yeah,
The,
not much to talk about. That wasn't
Masco,
controversial at
Masco,
all.
yeah,
Oof.
Masco and Danvers. So I'll let you take that one, Matt, but I'm going to limit you to 60 seconds. Okay. You got a clock on you, 60 seconds. Okay.
Well, I guess quite the finish over there. There was to boil it down, there was a sack with 16 seconds left. Danvers in a tie game down to the 12-yard line, sacked with 16 seconds left, no timeouts. Hurried up to the line. It was going to be 4th down. Sideline yelling field goal. Players on the field yelling run a play, run a play. People coming on and off. No one quite sure what's going on. Stadium clock hits 0. They snap the ball. They throw a touchdown pass because Masco stopped playing when the stadium clock hits 0. And, the referee signals touchdown. Then the referees all got together. They decided to take the touchdown off the board. What I did not speak to the referees directly after the game. What I was told was that the assessed penalty was for too many men on the field. Essentially, the players that had come on for the field goal and then been called back out did not get off the field on time is what they told the Danvers coaches. That they told the Danvers coaches that there was 2 seconds left on the clock that would begin when the ball was ready to be snapped. So Danvers had to hurry up to try to kick the field goal. The hurried up snap was a bad snap. They didn't even get the kickoff. Teams went to overtime, which under these current rules is a 10-yard fight. Both sides get the ball once. Danvers won the toss, got the ball first, got stopped. Masco scores in 2 plays. They win the football game. Subsequently, Danvers posted the video on Twitter of what they believe is their kids getting off the field on time. So they're still upset about this, or they were over the weekend. I guess as of Monday, they're moving on to Marblehead. But, certainly some controversy there. Of course, the Masco side watching that tape is going to say, well, look, the clock's at 0. To which you would say, well, yes, the clock's at 0, but the official time is kept on the field because there's not enough refs to have a ref run on the clock in the press box. So sometimes there is some discrepancy between those stadium clocks and the real clock. But there was certainly an awful lot of time that expired. I mean, I would say typically if you get sacked with 16 seconds left and no timeouts, the game's going to overtime. You're not getting another playoff. I mean, I don't care. NFL, college, Alabama, Danvers, Marblehead, St. John's Prep, whoever. You're not getting a playoff. So I think
On third down, you talking about?
correct.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you get sacked with 16 seconds left and no timeouts, you're not getting back to the line and getting another playoff. I mean, that's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? I don't think. That's not enough time to get a playoff. So, and again, assuming that what was on the clock was correct, right? So, the other thing you can see on the tape is that Danvers' guard is not set and that one of their receivers is moving, which
Yeah.
technically Danvers would say, well, they told us it was too many men. They didn't tell us it was a false start. Either way, my personal opinion, if they'd given Danvers a touchdown, Masco would be mad about the clock, right? The most fair way to adjudicate this was to go to overtime. Danvers got stopped. Masco scored. Both teams had a fair chance in overtime, right? So there's really nothing truly unfair about this, right? As a neutral observer, that the Danvers guys aren't going to be happy to hear me say that, but everybody started over from the same place in overtime, right? So overtime was as fair as fair gets. There's not even a coin toss like the NFL. Both teams got the ball. One team got stopped. One team didn't.
All right, let me play devil's advocate here for 1 second, Bill. Does you say it starts, it's fair, everybody gets a turn with the ball and all, but is Danvers going into that overtime maybe a little bit still swimming in their space, or a little bit deflated because of what just happened?
Oh, they certainly could be. I mean, they had blown a 21-7 lead.
Yeah.
So I think by the end of the game, they were swimming a little bit anyway, from having, I mean, Masco had all the momentum, not because of the end of game sequence, but because they had scored 14 unanswered in the fourth quarter, right? So I think the momentum Masco had was a little bit natural. You're right in the sense that Danvers was pretty upset, but I think, hey, also you guys had the chance to make the kick, and you didn't. So, that may or may not have been a gift from the refs, from Masco's perspective, and not for nothing. I would say if it was my team, and it's not, and again, they're not going to be happy to hear me say this, but earlier in the fourth quarter, you got down to the 14-yard line, you didn't score a touchdown, and you missed a field goal attempt. At the end of the fourth quarter, you got down to the 12-yard line, you didn't score a touchdown, and you missed your field goal attempt. So if you get points on either of those drives, game's over. None of this matters. And at the end of the day, that's kind of on you. And I think, that's what Bill Belichick would say if his team lost a game like that, in my opinion.
I don't want to belabor this too much, but I do, Willie, I think your description is very good, that final seconds. And so, you and I were both really right down on the stake, right there, that line of scrimmage. And there did seem to be a lot of confusion. And, a lot of people thought there were men on the field. Video may not say, no, there weren't men on the field, but I did talk to someone else, and there is pretty good indication that the clock had zeroed out. And that's,
correct.
And so the game into overtime, right at that point. But what it does do is now we're focusing on that. But to be honest with you, it was a great football game. It was an outstanding football game. And I got to give Coach Nolan a lot of credit. He was saying that right after the game,
Oh,
the
very
post-game
intense,
interview.
yeah.
And
Very
that
intense
although he
game.
was upset, he acknowledged that clearly. And that was that is one of the big takeaways. And this would have been tough for either one of those teams to lose that game the way they played, regardless of giving up a 20-point, giving up the final 20 points to Masconomet. Regardless, it was a hard-hitting game on both sides. So it was a fantastic football game. And unfortunately, somebody had to lose, I guess, or could have lost once it went into overtime. So there you go.
Very, very intense. A lot of great hits. Not a lot of passing. Both quarterbacks had a hard time passing the ball because of great defense. It was a really great ball game. A lot of momentum swings. I mean, really, really fun to watch. But I mean, all weekend I was getting a lot of messages. Everybody wanted to talk about, what unfolded here with the officials, and I mean, at the end of the day, my personal opinion, I kind of think they got it right, and gave both teams a fair chance with overtime. Whether that's whether they made the exact right procedural stuff. I mean, I think somebody probably should have thrown a flag on that final snap. I think somebody should have been watching the clock there a little bit better. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, one of the coaches said, well, maybe they got it right, but it seems like they made it up after the fact in order to get to that point. And I can't disagree with that part of it, but you know, at the end of the day, the outcome was correct, even if the recipe to get there probably wasn't. So, you know, I do totally understand, you know, why one side would say that, well, you can't change the recipe after the fact. I mean, that is a tough pill to swallow, in that regard.
So,
And going to be tough for playoffs. I mean, you know, Masco was on the outside looking in coming into the week. Danvers was right on the bubble. I think they were 14th. Now they're gonna, you know, we'll find out Tuesday morning if they drop, and then they got to go play Marblehead this week. So they definitely have to turn the page quickly, because Marblehead's a team that, you know, maybe some people left for dead after they lost to Peabody, but they've really cruised in their 2 games since, and here they are with the opportunity to win the NEC Dun for a however manyth year in a row, you know, 9th or 10th or whatever it is. You know, if they beat Danvers, that game this week, I believe, is for the championship, or if Danvers
I
was
was just gonna say, I think it is a de facto championship game.
yeah, I mean,
well,
I'm looking.
where's
It's going to be
where's
a great
Masco?
game.
Would
That'll
be
be a great game Friday.
I think it would be a 3-way tie with Masco, Danvers, and Marblehead if Danvers was to pull the upset. I think, right?
Okay. If Masco beats Swampscott, yes.
Right, yes, Masco. Yes, you're right. Masco would have to take care of business.
Got to remember too that the Marblehead is coming off of a bye. You know, they chose for the second year in a row to only play 7 regular season games, so they had a chance, I'm sure, to get rested up. You know, heal some dings and bruises that they've accumulated over the course of the season. Certainly work on expanding things offensively if they're looking to do that now. You know, for their playoff push, and while it appears that they'll get a home playoff game in Division 3, I mean, this is going to solidify it. If they were to win Friday night, would solidify it and give them potentially a better second round matchup than if it was, you know, say they got in as 8. If they lost, you know, you don't want to play the 1 seed in that second round. So, you know, maybe they win, maybe they get up to 6, maybe they get up to 5, and that's a better second round matchup for them. But Danvers is going to obviously have a lot to say about that. Really been impressed with the way Danvers has played the last 3 weeks and switching up their offense, getting Owen Gasinowski much more involved, running the football, still getting him open, not being double covered. He's catching a lot of passes out of the backfield. Aris Zaris has played really, really well the last few weeks for Danvers. So I'm expecting a great game at Deering Stadium Friday night.
Would agree with that. Guys, I want to jump to a few other sports. Anything else on football? I know we're kind of just focused on that one game, but for time-wise, we can circle back to it. But
I think we should just make note of the fact that both Ipswich and Beverly got their first wins last week. And, you know, nice wins for both programs. I mean, neither one will be going to the playoffs, which, you know, is, you know, it's what you aspire to, but it's ultimately not the be-all, end-all. Ipswich beats Pentucket in overtime. Pentucket was also winless, so each team was looking for its first win. And 3 touchdown rushes, the senior captain, for the Tigers, including the 2-point conversion rush in overtime to give them a 21-19 win. So congratulations to Zach Lampkin and his team. And Beverly, I would say, I mean, I think it's fair to say, guys, that was an upset win in Swampscott.
Yeah.
Got a little banged up front, coming off of a loss in Danvers the previous week, but Marcelo Pinto with 247 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns of his own for Beverly, and they leave Bloxage with a 28-23 win. I had looked it up, and Beverly had never, ever lost 7 straight games to start the season before. In, you know, 120 plus years of football, that had never happened. I mean, I think you can count the number of times they've lost 7 games in a season on maybe a hand and a half. It's not too many times. So that was, yeah, I know, right? Like,
okay, yeah,
I'm just going with it, you know. Put Simpsons fingers or cartoon fingers, maybe 4 in each hand. But that's a real good win for Beverly, and I feel good for the players and for head coach Jeff Hutton and his staff. Now they have a bye this week. They obviously will not be moving on to the playoffs, but they will get 2 non-playoff games. So hopefully they get a little momentum and can pick up another win or two prior to facing Salem on Thanksgiving Day.
Decent chance that could knock Swampscott out of the playoffs. That's a tough break for them. I mean, I think we didn't quite realize the extent to which they were banged up front and,
Yeah.
had lost some guys. And obviously Beverly was able to soften them up a little bit there in the middle. Pinto is such a tough runner. I mean, by the end of the fourth quarter, when you're banged up, it's just so hard to tackle him, right? So,
Yeah, you're right. He's like one of those wrecking ball type guys. I mean, he's not looking to break it to the outside. He's just going straight between the tackles, head down, and churning his legs. So you're right. If the defensive line is banged up, that's a tough ask in the 40th, 45th minute to stop him.
and now they got to deal with a Masco
Masco
team.
team.
Will Shannon's pretty similar stylistically, and so that's going to be tough. Although I'm looking now, I mean, Essex Tech was 17th in Division 5. They lost. Bishop Stang, I know, was 15th. They're playing Bishop Fenwick this week, so maybe the Crusaders can do the Big Blue some favors, and maybe the Big Blue can hold on, to a playoff spot. I mean, the two-time defending champs, you'd like to see them squeak in to defend the title, even if they're probably not going back to Gillette.
And it's very quick, Bill. I noticed in updating our stats this morning, I got to imagine that there's a big game coming for Sam Nadworthy soon of Masconomet. I know Shannon's been carrying the mail quite a bit, but I was shocked to see that Nadworthy hadn't scored a rushing touchdown this year. I got to assume that's going to be coming soon. He's far too talented to keep out of the end zone.
Oh, it's funny. They went back. People can read about that in the Moving the Chains on Friday. I won't waste that time here, but there's a little bit of stuff on that. I'll be able to reveal. How's that for a little tease there?
And honest truth there, you and I did not plan this.
No.
So
we've been talking so much. I don't.
I don't think people are totally surprised at that, Phil.
I'll just save it for the column.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, those two teams, I mean, we'll go back to, I'm sorry to go back to this again, but Danvers and Masco both looked like real playoff teams, maybe not Super Bowl teams, but real playoff teams last weekend. Who knows? They both coaches should be pretty proud of the way both teams played.
Danvers could end up going up to Tewksbury and playing a team that they opened the season with in the playoffs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, what about some other things? Field hockey, soccer. Any breaking news here on any of those sports?
Actually,
or look aheads?
Got some decent breaking news out of Marblehead today. The Marblehead boys soccer team beat Masco 1-0. So Masco hadn't lost in the NEC since joining back in the COVID season. They lost their second meeting to Peabody earlier this year, 4-2, and now Marblehead just handed them their second loss. So big doings for the Magicians. They were a team that coming into the season was really young, kind of inexperienced. They had lost some talent from last year's team that made a nice run, had won a playoff game. Just a ton of credit to their head coach, Elmer Magana. We know him well from Twitter. I've gotten to know him pretty well on the sidelines, and fantastic win, 1-0 against a good scoring team in Masco. I mean, I mentioned they have now the 2 losses in the NEC. Those are the only 2 losses outside of a loss to St. John's Prep. So now, they're having a really good season. Go ahead.
Where is Elmer originally from? I know we've talked about this before.
I don't
El Salvador.
I was going to say El Salvador. Is that?
I believe that's correct.
I was on Cape Ann yesterday.
Sure.
And I was, at a stoplight, and I was behind a car with a huge Marblehead soccer sticker on the back. I believe the flag was El Salvadorian.
Okay.
And some other soccer type stickers behind it. And I said to myself, I wonder if that's MHS soccer dude in front of me.
Yeah.
Could have been.
I'm not sure, but it could have been.
Could be. But nonetheless, big props to them. I think Isaiah Pena had the lone goal in that one, the game winner. He's having a good season. And they've had some injuries too. They lost their leading goal scorer, Kyle Hart, for the season. So they've needed some guys to step up. And like I said, they're young. So to have to string together a win like that and just the season as a whole, they've had some really nice signature wins in the conference. And they're going to be playoff bound, it looks like. So definitely pretty cool stuff out of Marblehead.
Nice.
Field hockey, Phil, what do you got for us?
Sure. I mean, I think the big news of the past week was Masconomet defeating Danvers last week 2-1. Great game. Marblehead got out to a 2-0 lead in the first quarter and was able to hold off Danvers the rest of the way. But Danvers put up a great fight. They got a third quarter goal and then really pushed for that equalizer. But Masconomet was up to the task. Masconomet is, barring some miracle, going to win the Northeastern Conference title again, third straight year. It's either their 8th or 9th consecutive title if you go back to their years in the Cape Ann League. No shame in Danvers placing second, although they've got a big game with Gloucester Tuesday night, which will be second place. Gloucester actually beat Danvers up in Danvers early this year. So Falcons will be looking to get revenge there. But that was a great game the other day. I think Danvers learned a lot from it, what they need to do to moving forward. These are two teams that could easily meet each other in the Division II state playoffs. Today, I saw what I would consider an upset tie, if that's possible. Beverly with a scoreless tie against Bishop Fenwick. Bishop Fenwick is a really strong team. I think it only lost 2 games coming in. And Beverly is playing with their backup goalie, Lucy Stevens, with the shutout there for Beverly. They're 6-8-2. They're going to get into the playoffs. And while I don't think it's going to translate into an upset over a higher seeded team, because Beverly's probably going to be in around 28, 29, 30, somewhere in there. I think it's remarkable that they have persevered, put together a nice little streak here over the second half of the season. And, today's showing shows how strong defensively they can be. So kudos to Trish Murphy and her Panthers for a good point today over at an excellent Bishop Fenwick team.
Well, St. Mary's tied Masco too, so that's not a great sign for the conference as opposed to
No.
the CCL there, I would say. That Fenwick,
And Masco was up
Fenwick's good,
3-0 too.
Yes,
Masco was up
exactly.
3-0
Right.
in that game.
Yeah.
That's sort of interesting. And I guess St. Mary's down in D4, so they'll be a contender there. But interesting to see that.
And only a
CCL
third-year varsity program.
Right, yeah, they're relatively new league for field hockey, so interesting
Right.
to see them kind of rising to the tide there.
Willie, girls soccer.
Yes, a lot of stuff. Masco still undefeated, 15-0-1 today, so they're going to win the NEC big down north, whatever you call it. Swampscott's going to win the other one. They're 9-5-2. They beat Saugus today, so split with Saugus, and I believe they did better in their matchups with the crossover teams than Saugus did. So if Swampscott hasn't clinched already, I think they're moving in on it as far as the Lynch goes. And that's about it. I mean, Peabody and Beverly drew today 2-2 in the weather. That was kind of tough to see what's going on. The ball very slick. I think that probably contributed to some of those results we saw in the boys games too. Masco not scoring, Peabody and Beverly boys going 0-0. Just it's very funky. That was a Coach Charis, the Beverly girls coach, said, the when it's slick like this, the ball off your foot is just very funky. You just don't have a lot of control over it. So I think that was not good for the offensively gifted teams today, Monday, as we record the podcast here. But Beverly and Peabody both closing in on Division I playoff berths. Neither one is clinched officially just yet, but both safely inside the top 32 of the power rankings as we again, as we record Monday night. We'll have the updated rankings on Tuesday morning.
I think we're going to have a World Cup podcast prior to the global event taking place next month, Bill.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. It's interesting to have it not be right. It's like a weird time of year because it's at like a really hot climate, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Well, it's like one of those Southern Hemisphere reverse climate type deals, I think, right?
Yeah, should be interesting.
Yeah.
Going up against the NFL, maybe not. I guess nobody in the world cares, but here in America, it might be a tough sell.
That's why they're giving us the push already. Like if you watch Fox on Sundays for football, it's every other commercial. They're pushing the World Cup.
Better that than the political ads, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. Hey, we should mention quickly our friends in volleyball. We're coming up to the last week. I know Peabody had a win Monday tonight, 3-0 over Swampscott. That makes them 15-3. So we have some really good volleyball teams heading into the playoffs next week between Peabody and Masco's got a great record, and Marblehead has got a strong record.
Ipswich. Yeah.
Defending state champs. They've only got one loss. Beverly's going to get in, and I think they could be sneaky good because of the schedule they play. Same with Danvers.
Danvers too, yeah. We
sub
should mention
500,
the,
but they just beat Arlington Catholic, which was 14-2. They beat them straight sets. So I think we could make some volleyball noise, and of course, Gene DePlacido will be there at all the big games, boots on the ground for the state.
we should mention the 3 milestones. We had Kira Sweetenham from Marblehead got her
Yeah.
500th career kill. Bo
Right.
Bettencourt from Peabody got her 500th career kill. And you put those two together, you get Vanessa Latham at Masco got her 1,000th career assist. So 3
Wow.
big volleyball milestones this past weekend for 3 really good players on those big 3 teams that Phil mentioned, and then of course Ipswich too.
I feel like looking back on it here, this has been like the Masco show. Started with Masco,
But
talking about Masco football. You got Masco girls soccer, Masco field hockey, Vanessa from Masco volleyball. I mean,
you gotta be careful, Phil. This is why some of the old curmudgeons in the Northeast Conference didn't want to let Masco in. They were afraid
Yeah,
what would
yeah.
happen. So we gotta.
but
we
hey,
gotta
you know what?
ourselves.
It drives the readership, or in this case, the listenership in the Tri-Town area up.
We're gonna get a lot of clicks out of Boxford.
Yeah,
That's for
I
sure.
expect those Middleton numbers to spike.
I don't
Yeah.
know. They might tune out after hearing the boys soccer loss, though.
That's true.
I
I don't know if the deer up here can read English or not. So
You're up in that area now. You're right.
that's
You're
basically
right.
all we have is deer and chipmunks. I don't know if they
Certainly not good
They might
Wi-Fi.
use the newspaper for
Yeah.
something else. I don't know if they can read it.
Ooh, what do you mean?
He's talking about deer, folks. He's talking about deer. Okay. When I drive through Peabody, Willie, I think of you running the streets. I used to see you running the streets in Peabody, a few years ago, but now you're not in that area. So if I see you in Peabody running, that's probably a pretty good run on your part. If you're
I get
down in the
around.
Peabody
I
area.
get around.
Yeah. All right.
Without
All
a
right,
flag,
Jeff.
though, right, Willie?
What?
I said without a flag.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm flag free running. for
Yeah,
sure.
I am flag free too. Hey, Willie and I are actually going to be running the Pete Frady's, what do we call that, Willie? Pete Frady's 5K in a couple of
Yeah,
weeks.
yeah.
It's a great cause. You can go online to petefradys.com and donate money that goes towards helping ALS patients and their families and helping to find a cure for the disease. If you want to take bets on who's going to finish first, I would say go with Willie by quite a few minutes. But you were flying last year. Jesus,
I don't know, flying. I mean,
I had what I would consider a good race, and you were way ahead of me. So, no, it's for a great cause, and we have a lot of fun. There's actually quite a few runners that come out for it, so it should be a great time. So, if you can donate, please do. It's a great cause.
We won't have that state sports betting, gambling available for that event, will we yet? I don't think
No,
so,
not
right?
yet.
Okay.
not yet.
Because I wouldn't mind. I could go into my 7 and 11 and put some money down on maybe Willie here.
Yeah, that would be a wise bet. If this were actual odds, this would be like 40-1. Willie would finish ahead of me.
I don't know.
looking
I
for
could
the-
throw that very easily. That I wouldn't take action on that.
I could throw it.
Are you kidding me? You could try to throw it, and you probably still beat me.
I don't know. I mean, I could blow a tire. Lose a. I could get lost. I could pull a Costanza. You
Oh,
never
come
know.
on,
Nick,
beat me
could
by like
Phil?
6 minutes last year.
I
Could
could take
Phil-
a wrong turn. I could get stuck in the sea. I could stop to talk to Danny Latarte. There's a lot of different ways I could engineer this.
And
Could
yet,
Phil-
my plotting would still be behind you.
Gentlemen, we'll stop on that point, I guess.
All right.
We'll stop there. But I ask a question. Could Phil actually throw a race? No, I don't think so. No.
No.
All right.
My goal in any race I enter is to finish it still breathing and upright.
Exactly.
Time is just a bonus. The time is clearly a bonus.
There they are. They're the sports writers. And we're recording on Monday night for Tuesday morning, just an FYI, in case you skipped around and missed some of this. Anyways, gentlemen, good talking with you again this week.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.